Hi folks, Sty North here. Okay, another video on the Live or Die Off the Land series. There's a couple of topic areas that aren't as food important as they are the functional process of living off the land that I want to address before we get back into the full food issue. Um, one of those areas I was asked by someone, um, are you even allowed to go out and live off the land as a hunter-gatherer, totally off the grid and just out there in the outdoors somewhere and just live off the land? Wow, that's a really big question. And in my mind, there's not a good answer for that question because actually, unless you have a very, very large tract of private land, um, you technically can't even come close to being able to live strictly off the raw land as a hunter-gatherer. Even on private land, there are issues. Um, Now, again, this series, I'm basing it on an area that I'm very familiar with. Now, rules and regulations are different all over the country. So um, this is not an exhaustive study on what you can do everywhere in the United States or Alaska. Um, I'm concentrating on central Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, central Minnesota, northern Minnesota, and the upper peninsula of Michigan. Here, even on private land, you would be technically unable or unallowed, you will not be allowed to live off the raw land. Now, you could homestead and raise crops, garden, your own livestock, and supplement your diet with certain foods that are in season. But in order to gather certain foods, there's places you're not allowed to. There's places you're allowed to a limited degree. There's places you need to have a permit to actually harvest anything. There are, throughout all three states, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, you are not allowed to take fish or game without a license. And even though you have a license, you're limited on the amount of those animals you can harvest, that you can take. So technically, if you're following the law, no, you cannot today, in today's society, live off the raw land as a hunter-gatherer. You cannot do it. It's just not allowed. Now, where are the most remote lands out there? The most remote are federal lands. You'll have large, huge tracts of federal land. Excuse me. In a lot of cases, tens of thousands of acres. The next largest pieces of land I have found, here in the state of Wisconsin especially, the next largest pieces of public land are county lands, lands that are owned by counties. And then next to them in line are state lands. Those are the public lands out there. And then all the rest is privately owned. Now, oh, I'm not including military bases, by the way, because we can't legally go on a military base and start harvesting things. They're not going to care for that too much. Now, there are some very large tracts of land that I've been on that a person could go onto and be on for quite an extended period of time without anybody ever coming across you. However, the fact still remains, once you are known to be there, I guarantee you the officials will come and find you, and you will get charged and fined if you're gathering things you are not allowed to in that state, or in a park, you know, like a federal forest of any sort, or a state forest. They will charge and fine you if you are harvesting game without the proper licenses, or if you're over harvesting game. So, are you allowed to live off the land in that sense as a hunter-gatherer? No, no. But here's the good news. That doesn't mean that you cannot learn how to live off the land. You can take natural, edible resources and learn how to harvest them, how to process them, how to store them. You can learn what benefits those foods have to your body by going out there seasonally during the seasons that you're allowed to harvest and hunt and fish, and practice that living off the raw land. In the event that you have the opportunity in the future, or the need in the future, to resort to living off the raw land. Now, the closest you could come to that, in my mind, in the United States is Alaska. And that would only be if you're a resident of Alaska, mind you, because the hunting and fishing privileges that you can acquire through a hunting and fishing license in Alaska is pretty bountiful. It'll give you an awful lot. And they're not so restrictive on going out and harvesting wild edibles and things off the land as the lower 48 states typically are. So Alaska's the closest that you can come to truly living off the raw land as a hunter-gatherer. Now, sorry, all you folks up there in Alaska, I'm not trying to encourage everybody to, all of a sudden there's a new gold rush and everybody's going to be running to your state wanting to live off the land. I'm not trying to encourage people to do that. Please don't take me wrong. Don't pack your things and head for Alaska so that you can live off the land. I'm giving you that example as them being the least restrictive and the most, I would say, the most likely of places that you could actually live right off the land. So am I allowed to live off the land? Society says no, absolutely not. Does that mean that I can't even learn how to live off the land? No, that doesn't mean that. You can learn how to live off the land so that you're prepared in the event that you would be actually having to live as a hunter-gatherer off the land. So with that, I'm going to move on to the next video. And the next video is going to be about how do I prepare myself? How do I prepare myself for living off the land? The reason I'm looking out there is we've got about 45-mile-an-hour gusts today. It's blowing so hard and it's so cold out, but it's not snowing, it's raining. I think it's going to turn to snow tonight. But I keep hearing things hit inside the house. But this next video is going to be about preparing yourself for living off the land. Not food. Not, this isn't the food topic. This is all the other things you need to consider about living off the raw land. So that'll be in the next video. So thanks for tagging along, folks, and I'll get that next video up and going here in just a little bit. And I'm going to be posting quite a few videos in a row because after Thanksgiving I have about 2 weeks that I will not be posting videos. I will be online most likely to answer comments and just to keep track of other people's channels, but I won't be doing much on my channel because I am transitioning back to my home down in Stanley, central Wisconsin, from northern Wisconsin. I've made it halfway through my cardiac rehab, and now I'm going home, and then I'll start my rehab up again down there. But it's transition time. It's time for me to go home. Now my son would love to see me get out from under his feet, I'm sure. So on Thanksgiving Day, Stai's moving home, and we'll pick up on videos right after the 1st of December, and but I'm going to try to get several videos put up before Thanksgiving, so you have plenty to watch until then. So this is Stein saying, check out the next video on how do I get prepared for living off the land. Until then, you all have a nice day. Bye-bye.